If you want to know the fastest way to learn music production, this video is for you. So hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. I need you guys to smash that like button. If you don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. We trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Lil Baby, Glorilla. Some have won Grammys, some have gone to win platinum plaques. So a lot of experience over here training folks. And there is one path, one sure path, that if you want to be a beat maker specifically and a music producer, specifically those roles, I can guide you through that path because it's a sequence of steps. And once you understand that you're at step 1, you need to go to step 2 and I have all of this mapped out in the new music producer path. And here's the kind of the cheat code before I get into the whole blueprint. Here's the cheat code. There's a course on our website called Music Producer Path. And it literally guides you through every single step you need to understand. So for example, what even is beat making? What's the concept? What are the 4 components of beat making? Do you understand there's a top line, there's a harmony section, there's a contrast section, there's a rhythm section. You combine those to create what we call compositions or beats. So breaking it down into 4 components, how to pick your DAW, because there's a lot of rhetoric around DAWs out here. Then I guide you through the actual DAW to get you guys started on how to actually use the thing, okay? So that you can learn how to drive the car, metaphorically speaking. And then, the stuff I recommend after you learn how to drive the car is like, okay, how do you actually drive? Not just drive the car, how do you win races with this car? And that's the rest of this training. So I have it all mapped out for you guys in this course called Music Producer Path because I had so many people asking me, do you have training for people who just want to make beats? Which course, they kept asking me, which course do I have? Because this is like following me down a journey. So for example, the first step here is not only to learn your DAW, which we all kind of understand at this point, but the next step is learning music theory. And I know music theory sounds like this big fancy term and that it's convoluted and arduous. I understand. But it's really the way that it's taught. Okay, the people who teach music theory are kind of bland and they show you stuff that isn't about your genre, so it's not inspiring. But once you learn music theory, I can show anybody how to close their eyes, pick any key, literally. Okay, so I'm here at B flat. You don't even need to know what this note is. Let's say you want to make a minor 9th chord. There's a chord code that I give you guys the chord code chart for free. If you go to BusyWorksBeats.com, you can download it straight to your phone. It has all the, major chords that we're used to nowadays mapped out on a chart based in what's called integer notation that I call chord codes. I've invented chord codes because I thought about it like DNA. So here we have the 0 point. 0 point is the point of rest. This is where we start. And all we got to do is learn how to count up the keyboard. So the chord code in this case is 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. So I don't need to memorize scales. I don't need to memorize notes, nothing. I'm doing this by ear. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You play all the notes together. You get a minor 9th chord every single time. Whoops. There we go. My finger slipped there. And this is one of the most jazzy chords out there. I can show anybody how to do that as long as they can count and follow my instruction. You can create a chord in less than a minute. And see, when you understand the magic of that, you're going, whoa, the possibilities are endless because now you're not bound to memorize the minor scale and the Phrygian mode and the Ionian scale mode. It's like you don't have to think about flat thirds and sharp fifths just yet. Now, I do teach sharp fifths and sharp ninths and all this, so you can do cool stuff like this. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the 11th chords, the sharp 5, sharp 9, the altered chords, but I teach that once you get to step 32, for example, then I'll show you step 33. So again, people try to jump from step 1 all the way to step 40, and there's a lot of teachers who just give you guys random videos and training, and it's why you're not really getting the results you want. It's because you're jumping around from information to information. So this video, really, I want to show you guys how to fast track music production. So again, the first step is learning your DAW. Okay, that's the first step because you can't really paint if you don't understand the canvas and the paint brushes. Okay, so the idea of how to paint concepts, that's what I teach. But you first have to learn the canvas and the paintbrush. Once you understand those, which I have the training and again, the Music Producer Path. Once you understand that, then we're going to move into more advanced stuff like music theory, which is not really that, it is advanced, it can get advanced, but it's not as complex as you guys think. Let's put it that way. Let's use the word complex. So let's do that trick again here. It's more than a trick because really what you're doing with your ear is you're hearing the top note of a chord. And I'm going to work backwards this case just to show you guys how advanced chord codes get. Let's pick a note that we want our melody to land on. Let's just say this note here, G. So let's say my brain hears, let's not do the half step because that's going to be complicated. Okay, let's just do B flat. My brain just wants to hear the hard notes, I guess. Okay, so let's say my ear hears this note. I can reverse engineer to create any chord using chord codes. So in this case, let's create a major seventh chord. Okay, so the major seventh chord is 0, 4, 7, 0, 4, 7, 11. So for that, we're going to assume now we're going to work backwards. So this is the leading tone in my head. I'm hearing a tone in my head. And I'm going to work backwards to fill out the chord underneath to harmonize this melodic note. So this is what I've been teaching at busyworksbeats.com in our music theory courses. You guys can use the code 50. It's a limited time summer sale. So use the code 50 during the checkout to get 50% off all of our courses. Here's G, okay? And then remember, we want to move up to this B flat. So let's create a chord per these notes. So again, that major seventh chord is 0, 4, 7, 11. So and I give you the chord code charts with the chords we actually use in music production, not some random chords where you have to memorize 1,000 chords. It's literally like 20 chords on there. And you could just pick from any one of those chords. So the main ones are major and minor. So let's do major seventh. So that's 0, 4, 7, 11. So this will be 11 in this case because we're counting backwards. Okay, so 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And then we have our first. I did not count that right. So 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. There we go. That's what it should have been. Okay, so it's A flat major seventh. That's the technical name for it. You guys don't need to know the name of it. And remember, my ear wants to go back up to B flat. So now it's just a matter of getting my hand used to playing this. Really, what I'm really playing is C minor with A flat underneath. So now let's harmonize this second note. And let's just assume that it's also a major seventh chord. It could be something else. We don't know yet. But let's assume it's the same chord type, major seventh. So here's the 11 in this case. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So that's B major seventh. Let's play this again. They could work together. I accidentally played a dope chord there. That was an accident, but it sounds fire. And this is what happens when you learn from chord codes. Boom, we have two chords that sound fire. You didn't memorize a scale. You didn't memorize a chord. It wasn't randomness. Now, what if we add that chord that we played by accident? That's filth right there. Now we just discovered a whole new path. Crazy. I'm telling y'all, when you learn this chord code system that I teach, it's my original system. I've created the chord code system. I'm the originator of it. It's based on integer notation. And I've created the mindset around it, the whole music theory process around it. And so when you understand chord codes, it guides you into so much deep music theory because now you're not stuck worrying about what note is next. You're listening to your brain and you're just reverse engineering to translate what's in your brain. Okay, so remember we started with this. That's all we had in our brain. And now I'm using formulas that I'm showing you guys. Whoop, that was a mistake. And now we got a filthy chord progression out of that. Let's try it one more time. Let's go down an octave. I liked it up higher. That just sounds so crazy, y'all. And we did that based on numbers. If you can count, you should have the confidence to know that you can get into music theory. I know people on YouTube try to make it sound like it's super complicated. It's because they have to justify, their courses or whatever it is. I'm showing you how to get straight to it so that you're not wasting time and wasting brain effort. Because I've gone through the struggle. I've tried to understand sheet music. It was so confusing. You can't really translate it to FL Studio. I've tried the trying to memorize the scales. I've tried the whole half thing. I do teach some of that, but I don't teach you to start from that point. Okay. So I want you guys to understand that it always starts up here and we're using tools to help us translate what's up here. That's the difference. I got a new chord in my brain all because of this video and those simple chord codes. I want you guys to have so much confidence and fun with music theory, but that is the main thing. The reason why you're not seeing the melodies you want is because you're skipping over music theory. I don't want to, tell people why they're struggling, but the 99% of the time, it's because they think they could just click notes in and just guess. That's part of music production, is listening to your brain. But at the same time, music theory will give you solutions. So for example, if I'm stuck on this chord, I can go to a suspended chord, or I can go to the fifth of this chord, or I could go down and assume that this is the fifth and then go down to the tonic, which would be D in this case. But let's say we wanted to go to the fifth. And now I have a workflow of how I'm moving. There's a process, there's a thought process behind this. Well, let's say I make this a dominant chord. Here's some advanced theory that I teach in my courses here. So let's turn this into a dominant chord and then resolve it down to E minor 11. That's a very big chord. So let's do the ninth version. It's kind of hard to do it down that octave. It doesn't sound the same. Now, some people ask me, how do you create melodies? I say, okay, well, first we have to understand chord codes. And once you understand chord codes, so remember, the canvas that we're learning in the beginning is your DAW. That's the canvas for our creations for beat making and compositions. Now, the next canvas that we're creating is the musical canvas. This will be your chords. This is the underlying music that becomes the canvas for the melody. So really, chords I see it as a canvas. Let's say you want to create a melody. We're going to use what's called the raised third. I learned this from Jeff. Let me get his exact name. All right, so here's this page. It's Jeff Schneider. He teaches really cool jazz concepts, and he gave me one simple concept that changed a lot about how I think about jazz and melodies, really, which was the concept of the 10th. So usually in chord talk, we play up to what's called the minor ninth most of the time. That's the 11th. Here's the ninth. You don't need to know what these words mean just yet. But basically, we play up to the ninth. Well, Jeff Schneider introduced a concept called the 10th, and I never thought of a raised third as a 10th, but that's what it is in the scale degrees. So basically, you're raising this third, this note here, we're taking that up an octave, and this becomes our melodic note. It just makes your chord sound more melodic when you start at the 10th. And then now we could change the chord just like that. So just that simple, small concept. When you find mentors who can give you little nuggets to change the way you think about music theory becomes so much easier. And just cool stuff like understanding how to voice chords, that could take you far too. If you guys are like really trying to go deeper with your chords and your melodies, like raising the third here. And understanding how the tonic and the fifth play, they're basically like, I call them tonal twins. They like to move in the same direction. That's how you get that Tyler, the Creator sound. Or let's say you do a neo soul style like this. It's because that tonic and the fifth are moving in the same direction. Okay, so that's how that works. So when you guys understand music theory, there's so much possibility. You won't feel like you're running into a wall. You'll just be thinking in terms of like, where can you go from here? For example, if I start at let's go down an octave. Okay, so I teach dominant to tonic. There's so much to learn in terms of music theory, but it's fun. It's not boring. So that, in my opinion, is the best way to learn music production. That's why I've spent all these years and we've trained hundreds of thousands of students. And I've created a course that's specifically built for this, specifically for music producers who specifically want to make beats. So it's Music Producer Path. Just go to busyworksbeats.com. You'll find it in the page there. It's called the Music Producer Path. And I literally guide you guys step by step through every single step I could think of on the things you would need to know in order to become an actual music producer. So this will be the exact sequence. Okay. So that's going to take you from knowing nothing to knowing a lot. So go to busyworksbeats.com and transform yourselves. Peace out, guys.